When 5-year-old Riley Bernowski first started complaining of headaches and nausea last month, her parents assured her it would pass. But one evening a week before Christmas, the headaches started coming on stronger, hitting in waves of 15 to 20 minutes. Eventually, Riley woke her mother up in the middle of the night in agony. She rushed her to the closest hospital in Volusia County, Florida. Hours later, doctors delivered a diagnosis he had never anticipated. It was a rare form of cancer. A CT scan revealed a giant malignant tumor growing in the back portion of Riley's brain. Her only chance at life was immediate surgery to remove the tumor at Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital in Orlando, an hour's drive away. It meant the little girl spent Christmas recovering in a hospital ward with the terrifying prospect of 8 months of chemotherapy ahead of her. Riley's father Wade told Daily Mail Online, "Everything about how the situation came up on us has been like changing. I don't know what to expect. We're just praying and hoping that she pulls through, and the survival rate she got provides some hope and optimism for that." Wade, who shares custody of Riley with her mother, Riley splits her time between her mother and Wade and his girlfriend Tori, explains that looking back, the symptoms all make sense. But at the time, it was easy to assume they were just minor. She'd complain of a headache, but it would be gone after 15 to 20 minutes, Wade said. Her balance was a little off, and she was tripping over things. Then she started complaining of headaches at school. At first, we didn't think much of it. We were thinking, oh, just like any kid trying to get out of school. But then she started throwing up at school. At first, Wade suspected stomach ulcers or an allergic reaction, but a headache that woke Riley up after midnight to the hospital had her taken to the local hospital by her mother. Wade arrived soon after. The CT scan revealed a large mass on her brain. Medulloblastoma is relatively rare and accounts for less than 2% of all primary brain tumors and 18% of all pediatric brain tumors, according to the American Brain Tumor Association. Approximately 70% of all cases are found in children under age 10. The tumor, Wade said, was preventing the brain from draining fluid, which in turn was causing Riley's symptoms of headaches and a lack of balance. Riley was transferred to Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital in Orlando, where she received surgery to remove the malignant tumor. Although the surgery was a success, the 5-year-old has a long road to recovery. Last weekend, tests revealed Riley's removed tumor in fact falls into a subtype, Guillain-Barré medulloblastoma. Although this type is considered to be the least common, doctors told the family that Riley has a 90% survival rate with chemotherapy and state-of-the-art radiation treatments. Since her diagnosis, Riley has received multiple MRIs, an MRA, and a spinal tap to determine her amount and length of treatment. Meanwhile, her family has set up a GoFundMe account to help cover the cost of her surgery recovery, and where updates are posted on Riley's health. So far, well-wishers have donated $11,800 towards the goal of $50,000. But that's not the only thing. Riley has also been flooded with letters of goodwill from people all over the country, and even in Canada. Riley's grandmother, Kimberly, came up with an idea to set up a P.O. box for Riley in the hope that friends could send her get-well cards and wishes. Within days, however, they were overwhelmed by the support of people Riley had never even met. Wade said, "Originally, we just shared it with our Facebook friends. Like, if anyone wants to send any cards to cheer Riley up, we have an address." People started sharing it on Facebook, and pretty soon she was getting cards from California, from Washington. It's been nice to see. Wade said that cards and letters aren't the only things Riley has been sent. Packages have included coloring books, art activities, and stuffed animals. Since she won't be able to go to that many places while she's undergoing treatment, it's nice that she has lots of things to play with, he added. It has been an incredible boost for Riley, who has always loved getting mail and always checks the mailbox when she visits her grandparents' home. Riley's next step is doctor's appointments as she prepares to undergo extensive chemo and radiation. Following 34 rounds of radiation treatment, Riley will be sent back to Arnold Palmer to receive chemotherapy for 6 months. Her first round of proton beam therapy radiation starts on January 24, a highly effective form of radiotherapy. It uses a high-energy beam of protons rather than high-energy X-rays, delivering targeted doses to the cancerous areas. The treatment has been particularly effective treating cancers of the skull and the spine. Its meticulous precision has been shown to effectively attack tumors while leaving surrounding muscles and tissues unaffected. It is the same treatment that famously cured 6-year-old British brain cancer sufferer Asha King, who was forced to fly to Spain amid a high-profile battle, as the treatment is not yet available in the UK. Riley's father, Wade, said, "We'll have to be in Jacksonville from Monday through Friday so she can receive her treatments. But I'm hoping that within 10 months from now, Riley will be healthy enough to go back to school." Another fighter journey. It all started in May 2020 when Charlie was starting to show strange symptoms. She was losing her balance, easily complaining of headaches, and vomited a few times randomly at 6 a.m. with no other sick symptoms. One doctor's visit later, and Charlie was immediately sent to have a CT scan done. A long 2 hours after the CT was done, we got the call that Charlie had a tumor in her brain. We rushed over to the hospital and an MRI was done. Surgery was scheduled for less than 36 hours later. Before surgery, Alex and I were warned about a common syndrome that is developed after brain tumor removal in the specific area Charlie's tumor was in, the cerebellum. They told us that, basically, Charlie was going to wake up unable to do anything she was before. Talk, walk, sit up, use her hands. It was a devastating thing to anticipate upon all else. I was about 36 weeks pregnant at the time. I couldn't imagine bringing another life earthside while fighting for another child's life. As a mother, I was at my absolute lowest point. After a grueling 10-hour procedure, Alex and I were immediately called by the surgeon herself and were told they predict, by the look of it, it is cancer. The tumor looked like a pediatric cancer called medulloblastoma. It was devastating to hear the word Charlie and cancer in the same sentence. And because of COVID-19, there could only be one parent with Charlie during this time in the hospital, causing a lot of emotional hardship for everyone. And shortly after Charlie's first high-dose chemotherapy cycle, I had an emergency C-section and almost lost my life. Not even a full 2 weeks after my C-section, I was back in the hospital for Charlie's second chemotherapy round with my newborn. Charlie endured 10 high-dose chemotherapy rounds where she stayed in the hospital half of each month for 8 months. In the middle of these high-dose chemotherapy rounds, we received Charlie's tumorous final pathology. It turned out they needed to treat Charlie with more than what they had originally planned. We could either radiate Charlie's brain or opt for an Almeida reservoir head port and insert chemotherapy directly into Charlie's spinal fluid. Less than a month later, the surgery was planned to insert the Almeida reservoir and start treating the spinal fluid immediately. She received 10 doses of chemotherapy through her head port on top of the other treatment. Charlie has endured many unpleasant symptoms as a result from the intense chemo, such as vomiting. She had to have an NG tube for 8 months to keep her weight stable, exhaustion, brain fog, mood changes, neuropathy in her limbs, stiffness in her ankles, stomach pain, hearing loss, and from the whole experience is showing signs of PTSD. In January, Charlie completed the high-dose chemotherapy and switched over to maintenance chemotherapy that is taken orally at home for 21-day cycles at a time when weekly labs are drawn. She has just completed these cycles August 31st. She is now officially done with chemo and can hopefully recover quickly and return to a new normal. Enduring a pandemic on top of the cancer diagnosis has been really isolating and has caused even more anxiety. I was scared of cancer, all the while scrubbing down my groceries in fear of any germs getting into my home, especially while Charlie was neutropenic, meaning she has basically zero immune system and a simple cold would send her to the hospital. Upon feeling isolation, I decided to make an Instagram sharing Charlie's story. I didn't expect much from it, but we have just surpassed 6,000 followers, and it truly feels like I have a family on the internet. A family full of people who truly love and care about my family, and also some of them who can sadly relate to what we are going through. It was a really tough decision on whether or not we wanted to take Charlie's story public, but I had the pull to do so, especially after learning the heartbreaking facts of how poorly childhood cancer research is funded. I knew I had to fight and advocate and hope that Charlie's story was enough to pull all hands on deck. I could not try to push for change, and I will continue until these children get the research they deserve. Childhood cancers only receive 4% of the government's annual cancer research funding, with the remaining 96% going to adulthood cancers. In result of this, childhood cancer patients are being treated with outdated medicines created for adult bodies over 30 years ago. Some childhood cancers don't even have a treatment at all, resulting in a 0% survival rate. Not to mention the fact that these toxic medications, aimed for adult bodies, not growing and developing children's bodies, cause lifelong side effects in these children. This is simply not okay. These children, including my wonderful daughter Charlie, deserve more than 4%. It feels like the majority of the people fighting for this to change are the families that have gone through it or currently still are. It's hard to see children in pain. It's hard to navigate relationships with someone going through your worst fear. Myself, along with my fellow childhood cancer parent friends, have experienced a distance between friends and family after diagnosis. You'd like it would be the opposite, right? Well, it's not. Family and friends fall off the face of the planet because they don't know how to handle what is happening. Why? Because it is so horrifying. It's easy to just scroll past it all and act like it isn't going to happen to you. Turn a blind eye. I know this because I was that person. And looking now, pediatric cancer isn't rare like everyone seems to think it is. Living with the uncertainty of tomorrow can be really debilitating sometimes. I try not to think too much about what I can't control. But as her mother, I truly can't help it. I see friends burying their children and a heart sinks. What if that's Charlie? I have to convince myself otherwise and calm myself down multiple times every single day. I'm learning how to live more in the moment because of it. Every problem surrounding us seems so small now.